Hello, welcome to Central Florida Salute YouTube. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and I have a Navy veteran with me, Paul P.J. Kerins, who has quite the career in the Navy, and he also did a lot of work as a advocate for veterans, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later. But first, should I call you Paul or PJ?
It doesn't matter. Whatever.
Well, don't call you the other late for dinner, right?
You're not my boss. Call me PJ.
Okay, PJ. Tell us a little bit about yourself, PJ. Where are you from originally, and when did you go in the Navy and why?
Okay, I grew up in Bristol, Pennsylvania. Went to Catholic school. Graduated high school. Did a lot of underage drinking. Didn't settle well with my father, so he kind of gave me a choice, and he paid my fines and said, "Get yourself an education, get off the sauce, and stay alive. And whatever it costs you, make sure you pay me back before you get out, and we're cool." So that's how I entered, and it was a nice ride. It was an adventure that my wildest dreams would never ever think of it being. And of course, every sailor has a story, and many of them stories are good, some are bad, but they'll always stay with you. Sailors and suds go together, but it actually helped me quite a bit because I actually had to tame that part of me, and it did just that too. There was programs in the military that helped people like me who abused alcohol, didn't know what it was doing to you, and I became very informative through the khaki program. I graduated there and got to learn all about the effects of what alcohol does and your limitations, and it actually kept me alive.
Good. Now, when did you go in the Navy, and why did you go in the Navy?
Okay, like I said, I wasn't given too many choices. We first tried the Air Force, and they wouldn't want me. So anyway, my father pulled some strings, got me in the Navy, and I was on the delayed entry program from January of '87 until April 5th of '87, which is when I actually embarked to boot camp. I went in from '87. I was given orders after Desert Storm in '91 to re-enlist, to go to Barbers Point, Hawaii, and fly with the U-2 squadron. And that was after the EA-280 Digital Analysis School, the SEER training, the Jungle Warfare training, and the Air Crew School I was supposed to receive. And they were giving me 6 extra 30 days of leave, and the $20,000 re-enlistment bonus was, at that point, what they offered.
Wait a minute. You're re-enlisting already? We just got started here.
No.
So
it never turned out that way. My father had a heart attack, and they gave him 5 years to live, and I did the math, and 2 years of school, 4 years touch and go over there in the Pacific. I was a year off, so I chose my father, and I got out instead.
Okay. Now, I'm trying to keep up pace with you, but you're getting way ahead of me. So you went to what do you call? Well, we call basic. You called it what?
Boot camp. Orlando. It no longer exists.
Did you go
to
the Great Lakes?
Orlando.
Orlando?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Oh, okay.
Before it became Baldwin, I think 7 years after I went there, I think they demolished it and made Baldwin. And so funny because my one daughter lives down here, and she lived right across the street from the dental, on the base of the military base where I went to boot camp. And man, that was a story and a half, because I got second-degree burns at boot camp, had a 3-day no walking chit, and because of that, I ended up having all the fillings removed from my teeth with my mouth open with a funnel in it for a good 7 hours. So yeah, at the fact that I actually had to visit her on that same street across from the dental, it just brought back memories I didn't even want to think of. But like I said, every memory doesn't escape you.
That's true. That's true. So, you got through boot camp.
Barely, but yes.
For me?
Barely, but
Barely.
yes.
And you came out as a what? And you went where?
I came out as a, seaman recruit, first 6 months. Then I went to NTTC, which is the Naval Technical Training Center in Corey Station in Pensacola, Florida. That's where I did my A school and my C school for electronics intelligence, which I was an electronics intelligence warfare analyst during Desert Storm. I was part of ComCargo 2, which was the Red Sea commander under Admiral Mixon. I was his intelligence officer under my chief petty officer, who became a senior chief, and his we call him Spock, but his name was Ledenbach. But he looked like, talked like, acted like Spock. Well, he ended up going from a senior chief to a LDO captain and ended up at Colorado Mountain. But he was who I learned a lot of my stuff from, and he's the one who put me in for the awards I received, and he's the one that kept me motivated to keep it dead serious, because when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you're not used to going to war.
And you're not really serious either.
That too. And so he helped, and he assisted me in becoming the sailor that I needed to be during that time frame. Since we all were at Battle Blue, we had a Scud missile just miss our ship by 2,000 nautical yards. But we nomenclatured it 77,000, and so when I had this thing coming at my ship, and I looked at it, it was very hard to determine 2,000 nautical yards on line of bearing. So I woke up the admiral. I had the whole 5,860 guys in Battle Blue, gas mask, wondering what was going to go on. And a lot of us were my age and no wartime experience. So it was definitely a memory that I'll never forget.
Yeah, you brought some photos, and take me step by step. What ship you were on first, or were you on the sub first? And
yes, I was
I
was on the USS Groton, 688 class nuclear submarine, fast attack nukes, and that was my first deployment. Like I said, there's stories all over the place. Well, in this particular one, they heeled me down in a CH-53 into the Brow in choppy weather off the coast of Haifa, Israel, and well, when I'm sleeping at the third berthing high, and they're like tuna cans, just really small, it took a roll, and out I went, down and busted my chin, busted my knee, and tore the whole curtain rod down, and ended up spending the next 6 months underwater on my free time sewing it back. So that's something I'll never forget.
Take a roll. That's an unexpected roll like this.
It's a movement underwater when you're rolling and you're actually changing course, or you're going deep in a subtle way, not an emergency deep setting, but in a subtle way, and you roll. And for me, never rolling, to me it was all new. Out I went. But on submarines, they serve a purpose, especially fast attack nukes, and they have their team. I was part of their team behind the cipher locks, and what we did at periscope depth at 65 feet under the surface is we raise our antennas and we gather all intelligence, then we go deep. And then the magnetic media that's stored, that's recorded, I analyze. And then we know what threats out there based on the parameters of each radio frequency we receive, and every signal gets spread open, the pulse duration, the lobe duration, the beam width, everything about it to determine what platform it's on, what missiles it carries, and what threat we're actually in. And so that determines on a plot scenario where we're going next, what course corrections, and who to contact within the battle group of Comp 6 Fleet.
How long were you on a sub?
I was on this particular sub. Most cryptologic technicians, technical, you have one of them, you have an R brancher, which is Morse code, you have an I brancher, who is a linguist, you have an O brancher, which is teletype, and then you have your LPOs and your LDOs. Sometimes they're captains, most of the time they're an officer, lieutenant, or below. And we all go out as a team, and we actually have secret missions on where we're at and where to stay, and then where to pick it up. Once you're under there for 6 months. Then we get to go back to our home base command, which for me was Rota, Spain. And we're usually called by the people who actually are on these boats for 4 years. Because most of these people that are on here, early warning types and above, all the nuclear people, they're all there doing a 4-year tour.
And you'd be on that sub for 6 months?
Underwater, I wouldn't see anything, but I was still called the OBPs, oxygen breathing parasites, to the people who actually live on these boats for 4 years, because we get to go on there and eat all their food and all this and then leave, where they're still stuck on there. So there was a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but we were called OBPs, oxygen breathing parasites. And mattress movies in MAST, I won't go any further, we were called the 3Mers as well. So I won't complete that
It's a
last
family
word.
show, so I don't know.
Sure.
I'm not sure where you're going. But the only thing I know about submarines is the most important and the most liked person on that submarine is the cook.
That is correct. It is the best chow in the Navy. You can have your crabs, you can have your lobster, you can eat all day, you can eat at night. If you're really starving, you see the cook, he'll make you something. And cruise mess is a nice place because that's where people see their home by video, and they have mail drops in certain locations, and they get to see films of their families.
Oh, so you had like Wi-Fi and all that. You could see your family on the sub.
Well, you plugged it in, and they had videotapes back then, and DVDs,
Oh, wow.
and Blu-rays at that point, and they would plug them in, and everybody would be able to see their family. So a lot of the times when we had free time, when we were floating, at normal test depth of 1,100 feet below the surface, we were just cruising. That's what we were doing. At training,
Yeah.
we were always constantly proficiency training, so we were alert and aware of any exercise or any threat immediately, because our mission is to support everybody out there in our fleet and give a readiness anytime that we're called upon. So,
Is this a nuclear sub?
fast attack nuke, yeah, 688. I was on a 637 class USS Ray. I forgot that picture, but that was my second deployment. And
So
then,
you were on subs, but you were also on other ships too?
sure, I was on the actual Kennedy, which is my actual battle group right there. We have the Kennedy, we have the America, and we have the Saratoga. And then we also have our remaining frigates that protect us. This is our Comcar Group 2, Commander Carry Group 2 in the Red Sea. And we had a system, the Advanced Tracking Prototype, which I knew, and it was basically inducted by the Air Force at Rota, Spain, but I was friends with a lot of the Air Force and the Marines. And so I took a huge interest in this advanced tracking prototype system to the point where I became proficient enough to train everybody in my battle group. So they would heal me around, and that's what my expertise was during the war. Well, and also I would cross-train with the people in the supplementary plot, which they were intelligence specialists. So they had no idea about the emitters, the emissions, all the radars and all the things, information that went along with it. You have a radio frequency, a pulse repetition frequency, a pulse duration, a lobe duration. It's like a telephone book. And each line goes across, and that's the descriptive value of each individual radar, which has a nomenclature that corresponds to that radar set of numbers. Well, when you have a telephone book that's thick, and you have to have it memorized in order to be able to quickly know and identify what radar is what and where it belongs. So that was my job.
Wow.
And so it was very important that we always did flashcard training and proficiency training. Well, they taught me how to brief the admirals and the generals out there, which I did. And of course, I wasn't perfect. And of course, I messed up a lot, but they wouldn't laugh at me. They knew I was learning from my intelligence specialists that worked with me. Mm-hmm. And then when they weren't around, I was teaching them everything that I knew and how it correlates into the field. And so with that is why I actually received the actual letter of commendation from my admiral.
Commander Battle Force Red Sea.
Correct. I don't know if you would like to read it, but this is what I
would,
did.
but I don't have my glasses, so.
Okay.
But basically, you can summarize it for us.
Okay. Citation: Chief Petty Officer Kerins, superior performance of duty while serving as electronics intelligence operator and analyst from 3 November of 1990 to 19 February 1991, because I had to get out. While deployed with the USS John F. Kennedy CV-67 in the Mediterranean and the Red Sea was commendable. His professional ability and initiative established a mark of excellence during Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. He was directly responsible in creating and maintaining specific emitter databases for the advanced tracking prototype, which provided precise and real-time tactical information to strike planners for emissions against enemy targets. Through his untiring efforts, Petty Officer Kerins trained 3 supplementary plot personnel on ELIN operations and related reference publications. His superlative performance and related reference publications. His superlative performance clearly distinguished him from his peers. Petty Officer Kerins' exceptional professional ability, initiative, and devotion to duty reflects great credit upon himself and the United States Naval Service, signed by R. Dean Mixon, Rear Admiral, United States Navy.
Yeah, I know you're highly decorated as far as citations and all this. You know, that you've been, I see part of Operation Desert Storm, and you have this other picture here. What is that? This is your group?
Yeah, that was me going through my sea school in Pensacola, and it shows. Actually, I served with some of them on some of them boats, and it show and the people in the back. We were the subordinates, and you know, the higher ranking and the instructors were out front.
Oh, okay.
So that's the reason why the 3 of us in the back, which we went to Rota together, Rob Davis, Rob Farish, and myself. We're the 3 in the back. We're in the 3 in the back.
Question. What year did you get out? Excuse me. What year did you get out?
I got out in 1991.
You keep contact with anybody?
Oh, yes, I do. A lot of people that I served over on Rota have gone their own paths, their own journey. And like my buddy Joey Wines, he was a chief. He was constantly deployed, but he was always out of Norfolk after Rota and went in all these different directions on special Panama trips and for different reasons, counterintelligence measures as well. He actually retired, and and on top of his retirement, now he works for the Department of Defense, and he trains generals and officers of all types in the art of a subject matter expert on counterintelligence measures. And that's one of them. And, you know, I have another, my LPO that took me out on my subs, John Mullis. He lives in Colorado. He offered me to stay out there with him on my next visit, which I'd never seen over there. Hopefully one day I will. But he's from Scotland and probably one of the most brilliant people I ever met. And he taught me a lot, and he looked like John Denver, and I'm sure if he ever sees this, he's going to laugh his ass off, but very good guy.
So you keep in touch with some of the people you did. Now, how many deployments did you do? Can you remember?
I did 3.
3.
But they were a total almost 20 months.
And how many years were you in the Navy?
4.
4 years.
And then I got out and went in the Army for 6 on a home front to be around my dad.
Tell us about
I picked up an extra. I was an intelligence specialist as a 96 Bravo and a 98 Charlie, which was an electronics warfare intelligence officer. So I actually gained an MOS, and I went to Drexel for chemical engineering, which I have a chemical engineering degree. And I was in ROTC, and I was an SMP cadet platoon leader, about to be a second lieutenant, and the commission did not go through because I was in the Navy, and I had to reapply for the Veterans Armed Forces Scholarship, which they only give one away each year, and I didn't know any congressmen, so I never received it. So at that point, I just, you know, on the National Guard side, I was a sergeant, so I just, after all that, I got out. And I transferred all my time over. I joined the post office, which I did 30 years there, and I joined the Veterans Affairs, did 30 years there as a veteran service representative. And primarily my reason was because my grandfather had 100% comp. He was a retired railroad engineer, and he was the commander of the American Legion 6 times and the president on the district level 2 times and the national commander 2 times. Well, he hit the magical age of 92. And I always followed what my grandfather did, because when he retired at 62, he had 30 years retirement. So I use that as a very good course, knowing what he did in them 30 years. And he learned how to play every instrument. He sang karaoke 7 sets a night, every night, and he loved his Rusty Nails. Rusty Nails, double drambuie, and scotch. And I don't know why, but he liked him. Anyway, the CNA, who claimed to be a CNA in the American Legion, was hired and employed by my aunt. And she ended up not being a CNA, but she was a shyster who stole all of his coins, all of his gold, all of his valuables, kept him drunk on his kegs of beer, of Michelob, which was his favorite, kept him drunk on Drambuie, or Rusty Nails, and took his pills and sold them on the street and made money while she was living in his house, which took 5 years to get her out. But here, the reason why this is important to me and why I joined the VA, he had 100% comp. He could have had assisted living given to him as a benefit of having somebody come in and take care of him. And as a result, he was so drunk coming back that he broke his hip, and the doctors were against the hip replacement. He ended up getting it anyway due to my aunt giving that decision, and he died in rehab. As a result, everything that he had saved, I'm talking 7 digits, was stolen. My father and his 2 sisters received hardly anything, a fraction of what they should have gotten. And I thought to myself, that's so disgusting that people actually prey on people like that. My grandfather probably still would have been alive today. He did crossword puzzles every day, and he was always in his right mind. And so that became my motivation, and I now protect and advocate for veterans for them reasons.
Yeah, and you used to be with the VA, but you're not with the VA, but you still volunteer to help people if somebody wants.
I've been a veteran service representative for a great many number of years. I'm retired. I'm under disability retirement. I got thrown off a truck at the post office. I'm the only one in America that held 2 jobs at the same time simultaneously. So I received disability from both. I got thrown off a truck over at the post office, and that ended everything. As much as I tried to be accountable and responsible for my actions to not have that happen, and I believed in love, health, and wealth as your 3 that you keep in balance to have a wonderful life. Well, my health got stripped, and so I lost one of the 3, but at least I didn't lose all 3. So I feel fortunate, and through my remaining years, I found where I would want to live forever down here in the plantations in Leesburg. Beautiful area. Anybody that needs my help, who are interested in all the different variations of benefits that we offer, I know how to obtain them. I know the forms that you need, the people that would advocate for you. There are wonderful organizations out there like the American Vets, the American Legion, VFW, but they're advocates. They can access your information. The VSRs themselves are by Congress authorized to be the ones and the sole ones who actually determine the eligibility requirements being met to obtain each and every type of benefit that you seek. However, most people don't know exactly just how many there are.
Or where they are.
And so anybody that needs my help, they can feel free to help me. Call me. I will help them, no problem. I will guide them, no problem. And if not, I will utilize the resources that I know and get back to them one way or the other. But the easiest way is www.va.gov. It's a site, it's easy to navigate. All the forms at the bottom, just slide down the first screen, hit forms, and every form will explain to you why you're even filling it out. So you can learn about benefits that way. You can also learn just by typing the subject matter. It'll pop right up. It'll tell you what the requirements are, the thresholds. Some are income sensitive, some aren't. Some's compensation, some is widow's pension, some is death pension, some is death indemnity compensation, some are burial. But no matter what it is, there's other benefits that come along with what I just mentioned. And to be concerned and be eager enough to seek that out, you can do one of two things. Your own, navigate through the www.va.gov. You can talk to your service officers at your American Legions or any other coded veteran service officer organization, or you can contact me. I've done this for many years, and I received a certificate of advocacy for just doing that. Okay, I advocate. I was on the outreach team, so I help veterans in a lot of different ways, giving them free food, free clothing, and helping them establish their claims. The most important part of obtaining your benefits is your date of claim, because that, when the decisions are ever met or appeals that you may disagree with, that you may win, will always go back to that date. So if you're thinking about benefits and you wait 10 years, you're not getting paid. But if you think about the benefits and you put your claim in on the proper form and eventually do get paid, it'll be accrued benefits back to the time that you originally put it in. So the most important thing I can tell anybody who's obtaining benefits or who wants to, since presumptives for veterans and service-connected disabilities, the nexus between the two are called presumptives, and Congress expands these every year. So there's a lot of people who may not have twisted their ankle or broken their knee and are receiving any type of benefit whatsoever, but now you're getting older. And most people that I deal with are older, especially here in Leesburg. And so any special cancers, anything starts developing, very much could be service-connected and could be under the presumptive. And
the trick is to get a doctor or somebody that will say that.
They have veterans doctors, they set you up for PSC exams, and they have DBQ evidence. And the DBQ evidence comes from certified board outside in the normal environment and the economy. And so they weigh all. And they also have veterans doctors and health clinics to actually go into your medical facilities, and they zoom in and they're right there listening to the doctor diagnose you, examine you, and do surgical procedures with you with their help. So there's a lot of features that have evolved, and there are many presumptives that also have evolved. So if you think you deserve something for your service, don't hesitate. Let them investigate. They have and Department of Veterans Affairs as a veteran service representative formerly, now that I'm retired, I do know the system works. We have every agency that we can actually collaborate with and receive information from, like your DD-214, death certificates, everything. Everybody, we have every avenue to help dependents, spouses, and veterans themselves. Under Abraham Lincoln, you always represent and delegate somebody to help a veteran, their spouse, and the orphan.
Very well put, Mike. And I think, did I call you Mike? I didn't call you Mike, did I? PJ.
No.
PJ.
I'm Pablo Jose for short.
Yeah, Pablo Jose, okay.
All right, PJ.
You know, I think that's
Some people
great.
call me the Vin Man and Joey Wines. If you ever see this recording, I know you're laughing. The Vin Man's the best from the East, the wild, crazy beast, the Vin Man. John Travolta on the dance floor, Sylvester Stallone in the gym, and hard bodies in the rack.
Okay.
And then other people may say I'm the wolf from Pulp Fiction. It must be my organizational skills. It has to be.
Okay. Well,
Bob,
that says
what do
it
you
all
think?
right there.
I'm here as a friend, I'm here as an advocate, and I'm a veteran just like you. So anybody who wants to reach out, reach out.
Okay.
Reach out and touch me. I remember that song too. That came out in Rhoda, Spain.
Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere with singing.
No.
But anyway, I want to thank you for your service to the country and your service to mankind and fellow veterans.
Thank you.
We're really out of time
Okay.
today, so
We'll do this another time. Maybe I'll wear a monster wig and put on some orange powder. Will that work?
No.
Okay.
All right. what will work is you're going to give a salute. You saw what we did at the other show, so it's time to say goodbye, and this is how we do it. To all our veterans out there, our active military and their families, we say thank you for your service. Till next time.